This is the first video in a 2-video series on geometry. In this video, we're going to be talking about 4.6a through 4.6d. And basically what these 4 TEKs want students to do is they want them to be able to identify points, lines, line segments, rays, types of angles, be able to identify a line of symmetry in a 2D shape, be able to name different types of triangles, and be able to classify and name quadrilaterals. So from looking at these 4 TEKs, we understand that geometry vocabulary is critical because students not only really need to identify the shape or identify the point or identify the line, they also need to be able to describe why it's a line, why it's a ray, and they also need to be able to create it if they are given the word or given the attributes. So for instance, if I ask students to draw a ray, they should be able to draw a ray. If I ask them to draw me a rhombus, they have to draw a rhombus, and then I ask them to explain why their shape is a rhombus, they then need to be able to tell me because it only has one set of parallel lines, okay? So vocabulary for this TEK is huge. These TEKs are huge. So make sure that you are doing vocabulary practice type activities with students daily. Make sure students are discussing the vocabulary words. Make sure they're doing some sort of word wall activities. You should have students speaking geometry every single day, not just looking at a worksheet and picking out which is a point and which is a obtuse triangle and which is an acute triangle. That's not going to get them where we need them to be. We need them to be able to look at a shape, identify it, tell us why it is that shape, and if given a list of 4 different things, they can draw those and pick out the attributes for each one, each shape or each geometry term. So the more hands-on you can be with this with kids, the better. One thing I used with students a lot as we started geometry was Wicky Sticks. So we would first start out with, and I would just do my fun little points. I know you can't see what I'm doing off the camera right now. But we would start off, and I would have them use Wicky Sticks and would make the different types of shapes. So we'd make a line and talk about that a line goes on and on and on and on and on forever in both directions. We'd do our little arm signals, arms outstretched with fingers outstretched to talk about a line. We'd talk about a line is made up of points, so we would create a point. We would talk about what a point is and that a line has an infinite number of points on it, that one point after another, after another, after another makes up a line. We relate it to number lines. We do the same thing. We create then rays. So we create a ray, and then we create another ray. And this helps students understand what an angle is and how an angle is created. So you say, okay, we have 2 rays, not perfect rays, we have 2 rays, and an angle is formed when the 2 rays share a common endpoint. What I love about the Wicky Sticks is they're sticky, of course, so they kind of stick, and so the kids can actually hold up a board to show you what they did. And you can use them for the whole time you're doing geometry. You don't have to switch manipulatives. I only gave them 2 and with their own little baggie, and they work just fine. So give them something hands-on, introduce vocabulary hands-on, allow them to talk and use, and just, you actually have to go over and overboard with vocabulary. There, you can never do it enough, with geometry especially. So that's the first part of your teak, just identifying points, lines, line segment, rays, angles, perpendicular, parallel lines. Use the Wicky Sticks, introduce them. You can then talk to students when you're talking about different shapes and identifying different shapes. I know this is not a perfect square there, but these are great to practice lines of symmetry. How many lines of symmetry does this shape have, right? And getting students to actually place the Wicky Sticks, have them create the shape on a geoboard, and then use the Wicky Stick to find as many lines of symmetry as they can. All right, when I'm talking about angles and identifying angles, talking about angles and identifying angles, the best thing to teach students to use is a sticky note, an index card, something like that to help them measure the angles. That's the best strategy I know of, because we know that the edge of a sticky note is an edge of a sticky note, an edge of a piece of paper, their mathematics chart they have on the test. All of these are right angles. So I can very easily put that sticky note right there, and I can see the ray on each side of that sticky note. Therefore, I know that that's a right angle. Here, if I place my sticky note on one ray, I cannot see the other ray. It has gone inside of the sticky note. Therefore, that's an acute angle. Here, I place the sticky note on the ray, and I can definitely see the other ray is far away from my sticky note. It's past it. It's not right on the side of that sticky note. Therefore, that's an obtuse angle. So this is a very hands-on, concrete way for students to measure different types of angles. Okay. They can also do that with triangles, measuring obtuse, right, and acute triangles. They can look at the different triangles and determine that, remember, a triangle is named by its largest angle, that these are all, this is an acute triangle, obtuse triangle, and a right triangle. All right, so the last thing students have to know on these teaks, last piece of vocabulary, is their quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are difficult for kids just because of the vocabulary. So once again, it's very important to, when you ask students what this shape is, and they say a rectangle, I would also ask students, is there another name for this shape? Or give me all the names for this shape. You know, put your thumb up when you think you have all the names for this shape, because you want to get them used to using all of them and seeing how they're related. Okay, so I think that's it for these teaks 4.6A through D. Once again, it's all about vocabulary. Every time that you do something with a quadrilateral, go ahead and talk about its line of symmetry. You can introduce other 2D shapes as well for lines of symmetry, but I would introduce it at the same time you do quadrilaterals. Introduce quadrilaterals and spend a couple of days, and then also start talking about the line of symmetry as well. Start here and go to those other types of shapes. All right, I believe that's it. If you have any questions, take a look at that instructional talk page, and we'll see you in the next geometry video.